Hi, welcome to the Gastroenteritis Blues. My name is Steve Whitman. I am joined not by Dan Volpone. Dan is in study hall. He is studying for an exam, which happens on Monday. There's simply nothing we can do about it. But not Dan, I am joined by Emily Cannell. Emily, I put this to you first as a video has come out online of an unseen James Harden, who we believe is there because an associate posted this video. But Georges Niang and Tyrese Maxey, who has lost his innocence at a club having, I think, a $10,000 stake. I ask you, Emily, when was the last time you were at a club?
Oh God. A club, like a legit club.
Yes.
Possibly
this club that they were at in Miami. That's for
I have never
points.
been to Poppy Steak, that's for certain.
Is that what this is called? Poppy Steak?
Yes, I'm looking it up right now. I'm also so I think what they had, the answer to your question is I honestly think the last time I was in a club was in Miami, not Poppy Steak. I went to Miami Music Week like 7 years ago, maybe, and I went to a club. Yes, but I was like, when I saw this video that you speak of, I was like, there's no way that pure sweet Tyrese Maxey went to a club like this, that he's just not doing that. So then I did some research into Poppy Steak, and it is touted as a restaurant. Let me tell you, it doesn't say club, it says restaurant.
Please.
It says fuses golden era Hollywood swagger with modern day Miami energy to create an entirely new steakhouse experience. So that was Miami energy that we saw in the video. Not a,
you see
not
the
a
lighting
club.
In there, Emily?
I'm just saying there's a DJ. It says a full bar and custom cocktail program while DJs spin until the early hours.
Wow. But
I think that they got the Poppy Steak because it is the special. There's a secret sauce. It can also be ordered within a BEEFCASE, which is what I think they got. The presentation.
Right, it is in
not
a briefcase, but a
BEEFCASE. Yeah,
excellent.
I think that's what they got.
Wonderful.
Unfortunately, there are no prices on the menu. But it was
I would never go to this place. No, I need to know. I need to move some money around.
It was a 40-ounce kosher tomahawk steak.
That's why they're there. It's kosher.
Right. Too bad Willie Cauley-Stein got his contract.
We'll talk about that later.
Unfortunate.
Right.
In the BEEFCASE. So that's what they got. I want to know if they took Matisse for his birthday.
I don't think so.
That's rude of them. I just want to say that when this podcast was conceptualized, this was my dream, just talking about Poppy Steak for 45 minutes. So now that Dan isn't here to talk about actual basketball, like, you're going to get me off the rails. That's all I have to say about it. Oh, yeah, wait. I found it. The steak is only $190, according to PriceListo.com.
PriceListo?
World-renowned PriceListo, obviously.
$190. I thought I saw somebody say there was $10,000, but they might have been having a joke.
Bottles.
Well, we know that James Harden enjoys a night out. He did not
get it delivered on Uber Eats Poppy Steak, so it's not a club. It's clearly
Should we order it right now?
Yeah.
Let's order it.
Will Poppy Steak sponsor us and send us a BEEFCASE on Uber Eats? We
can put it on the Liberty Ballers company card. We can expense it as a sort of fun YouTube clip, and then
look,
we can. Oh, we didn't even know this was going to happen. This is the BEEFCASE. All right, Drew is going to play the video now.
I don't know if the sound will work,
but right now Drew is playing the video of the BEEFCASE, and
it lights up.
Georges Niang, who's
enthralled,
playing really well with James Harden, and then they open this orb that the steak is under, and there's a sauce there, and Maxey is having the time of his life.
This is incredible.
It's really tremendous stuff. I love it. Thank you, Drew. Thank you for jumping in with that. So yeah, that's great. The Sixers this week, they beat the Knicks in James Harden's home debut, which, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, you were at, and so was Dan.
Yep.
And friend of the show, Zainab. Did you see Zainab?
I did not see Zainab or Dan, for that matter. Jordy
I thought you saw Dan.
Jordy did.
Jordy. Okay, I need the full story of that. And then they beat Cleveland in a comeback win, and then with Harden resting because he was at Poppy Steak, they lost to Miami in a sort of shitty game. So let's start at the beginning. Harden's home debut. Take me through it, your firsthand account. They beat the Knicks in sort of I believe, basically a wire-to-wire win. The Knicks are not very good. The Sixers played them in sort of a home-and-home series. I imagine the energy in the crowd was pretty electric. What was it like, and why did Jordy agree to see Dan, and why did you refuse? Take me through it. Oh, and how was the milkshake?
I didn't get a milkshake.
Or Dan got a milkshake. There was some milkshake conversation going on.
I have had a milkshake in the past. The milkshake was good when I had it. Me and Dan got the same flavor, so we'll have to see what he thinks.
Which was?
I think we got the cookies and cream or the cookie dough, the one with the cookie on top.
Great.
There's like a mint one with a whole mint ice cream sandwich on top.
Wow.
Milkshake place in Wells Fargo Center. If you want to partner up, just let us know. Steve's willing to come down. I don't know. So this is why we need
research department.
It's like steampunk theme though, and they all wear like
it is.
Yes, and it's like an emporium, and they all wear like aprons and like big goggles on their head.
What?
It's really outside.
What a decision.
Themed. I don't know.
What a decision. Okay. All right. So keep going. Dan's at the game. He says, "Hey, Emily, do you want to meet up?" You say, "Absolutely not."
He didn't ask if I wanted to meet up. And then I ended up meeting up with a friend from college. And then Jordy went to walk around and ran into Dan. So he saw Dan. And I said, "Did Dan hug you and say, 'I love you'?" And he said, "He hugged me. I'm not sure about the 'I love you.'"
Oh, interesting.
Because Dan always says "love you" when he gets off the phone with you or anything. It's very sweet.
Yes, he's a sweet kid.
Yes.
So, and how was the game? What was it like when Harden was introduced? And what was your big takeaway from the game with the Knicks there?
Game was great. I was wondering how in Harden's first game they would introduce him, if he would get like the last place for his first game, like the last intro spot. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He takes the first intro spot. Joel still gets the last intro spot, which I think is nice and respectful.
Yes.
They have I don't know if it's a fully new intro video, but like for some reason it just gets me like infinitely more hype than the old intro video. Just like the Harden clips, and they got everyone in there, and Tyrese Maxey's so adorable. It's just great. Mm-hmm. It was really, obviously it was so loud in there. I wasn't ever worried about the game at all. I'm pretty sure, was it that game that they were down by? Yeah, they were down by like cut it to like single digits at the half. And then I was like, they're going to win this game. I'm not worried about the Knicks like couldn't miss in like the first part. Same with Cleveland. It was like weird. They were like very mirror games. The Cleveland game, I was at that one too. It was louder than the Knicks game.
Okay.
Because I think there was a lot of Knicks fans at the Knicks game who had bought these tickets knowing it was going to be Harden's first game, just because it's cheaper to get tickets here than it is at the Garden. And so by Friday, when it was mostly Sixers fans, not Cleveland fans, it was so much louder that the arena was so loud. It was just fun. And the way those three games, the way Harden and Maxey and Embiid were playing was incredible. It's kind of, Embiid like fell off a little bit in Cleveland and then more on last night, but Maxey's incredible. I love him so much. They were just fun games. I don't know.
Yeah, the Sixers don't have much trouble, especially when they buckle down against the Knicks. The theme has just been how incredible the trio of Maxey, Harden, and Embiid have been together, just playing off of one another and just getting buckets when they need to. And we can move to the Cleveland game. To start off that game, Cleveland just hit everything in the first half. The Sixers were down by, I think, 13 after the first quarter. They gave up 43 points. in the first quarter. And they were down maybe 9 going into half. I don't know about you. You can tell me if you had a different experience. I was never worried that they were going to lose this game with those guys playing. Like, even though Cleveland's very good, Cleveland has had a really good year. They have 2 All-Stars and Evan Mobley, who's been really good as a rookie. Like, I was just never worried. Like, with those 3 guys out there, Maxey had a tremendous game. He put up 33. Like, I just never thought that they were going to lose. Like, I, Joel was not even very good in that game, like on either end. I never thought, he never really got it going. And I think that it's just like, first of all, Maxey is taking this huge leap, which we can go into. But having a guy like Harden, who can just hold the ball and make the right decision all the time, or get himself a shot whenever they need one, is so important. And they haven't had it basically ever. Like, Butler was here, and Butler wasn't great when he was on the Sixers, but he had some huge moments, and he had, big moments in the playoffs against Brooklyn and all that kind of stuff. But like, Harden's a way better version of that offensively. And having a guy like that just makes me feel pretty calm about, like, if this game gets close, which I really think it will, because I think they're as good as anybody, they're going to get the right shots down the stretch. And then you can't really defend either Harden or Embiid with one guy. And the guy who can capitalize on all these advantages is Maxey. So, I was really happy to see them hit some adversity, and like to see them get down against a good team and have to eke out a win. Like, I think they're going to need games like that, as they go down the stretch. And I think it's important. So, I was happy to see them, be up to the challenge and get a nice win like that. So what was that like to see in person? And did you have a similar experience in terms of like not being worried when they got down?
Yeah, I wasn't worried at any point. I just have a lot of faith in, I mean, I guess it's a small sample size, but like these 3 guys playing together, just, I don't know, after what they did with the Knicks and those like couple away games, like they just seem like they can do, when like their back's against the wall, like they're going to get it done. And I just wasn't too concerned about it. Plus, Cleveland was shooting like out of their mind in the beginning of the game. And I'm just always like, water is going to find its level. Like, you're not going to be 7 for 7 from 3 you're not going to be 21 from 20 for 21. Like, it's going to even itself out and we'll be fine. So yeah, I was never concerned about it. The game was really weird. The refs were really bad, I thought, personally. Maybe it's because I was in arena and everyone likes to boo refs more when they're at the game, but I thought they were bad. Also, the floor was wet the whole game. People were falling left and right in this game, and it was so weird. Do you have a question?
No, it's the Keith tweet.
Oh, the floor is
the
wet.
Wet hand. Yeah.
Yes. I was like waiting for them to like do something about, like, did Joel just like straight fell one time, like at half court, and people were falling all over. I was like, is this floor wet? And no one seemed to investigate further, but I think they should have.
So then we get to Miami. Miami had a bunch of guys questionable. And then it comes out that Harden, they're going to rest. It was a back-to-back. They're going to rest Harden with the hamstring. Hamstrings can be really tricky. I think it's a smart move just in general to be careful with a hamstring for a guy who's a little bit older, and with 20 games left in the year, you don't really want to push it. And like, they're jockeying for seeding a little bit, but like personally, with how good the East is, like, doesn't matter to me a ton if they're first or second, I'm not crazy about, like, especially after fucking last year, like, I don't need them to get the first seed. Like, be healthy.
It means
like,
nothing.
Yes. With these 3 guys, I just want them to get there healthy. And we're going to talk about that a little bit with Joel. So yeah, I didn't mind him resting. Honestly, if anything, it kind of, for me, I wouldn't have mind them just chalking it up and resting Joel too. But I would imagine they have some sort of plan with that. So anyway, they play without Harden, and they just can't make a shot all night. They scored 14 points in the first quarter. They shoot 17% from 3 and 34% from the field. And like, they just don't really have it. And I guess it's hard to have Harden and then play without him sort of last minute. They don't really have it. Maxey has like an okay game with 17 points on pretty efficient shooting. Joel has another bad game. And they're sort of double and triple teaming him, but he's not really making his shots. He missed 6 threes. Didn't get to the line a ton. And we can talk about this game. Their defense I thought was fine. They held Miami under 100, but I don't think there's much to take away from this one. When they played him without Harden. But to me, it's just like, do we need to get Joel a rest day here? Because he's had now, it looks like a couple games in a row, 2 or 3, where he looks a little bit slower and a little bit like he could maybe use some days off. And did you take anything else away from this Miami game? To me, it's like they had won 5 in a row and they were sort of due for a clunker, and it doesn't mean a whole lot to me other than that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Plus they even made it a game at one point. Like they cut it to 4. Like it wasn't
down the stretch. They just
and I just don't think they had the gas to do it. So I'm not like concerned about facing Miami in a series if we're at full strength. Like that does not worry me. So I said, like you said, a second night of back-to-back, no Harden, like whatever. Yeah, I think Joel does look tired. I wouldn't hate for them to like rest him against Orlando or something. Like obviously he's gonna play, and again at home against Chicago, and obviously gonna play in the Brooklyn game. But Orlando would be a good time to rest him. Just give him a little bit of a break. He just looks tired. And like I know he gets a little bit of rest, but his all-star break is probably not super restful playing in the game. And I think he played a lot of minutes in the game. And, it's not like a restful weekend. There's like events and things, and you got to go and shake hands and kiss babies and do all that sometimes. So I think he could use some time.
Well, and he's also on track to play more games than he ever has in his life. So they should be very conscious of that. And they want to have a really long playoff run. So like, obviously they want to gel with Harden and have him on the court and win as many games as possible. But also it's all for nothing if he's not, who he needs to be in the playoffs. So
right.
It's a delicate balance. You mentioned the Orlando game, and that's really the one that they should go with, because they play Thursday against Brooklyn, and then that Orlando game is Sunday, and it's the first half of a back-to-back. So if they rest him in that one and then play him again on Monday, that gives him some consecutive days off, which I think would be pretty smart. And Orlando sucks. They should be able to win that one with just Harden and the guys.
Yeah, Harden and the guys. It's like a fun band name.
That's right. So yeah, who knows if one game off, here or there is enough to do it. But, and again, 3 games ago, he looked excellent. So I think he's fine, but they should just be conscious of it.
Yeah. 3 straight days off and then not having to play in the back-to-back, though, I feel like that would give him some energy.
I agree. Maxey's just like taking the leap. I don't know if like we're just like talking about him as a star now, or if we should take it easy. Like I talked about this with Porter on the Ball podcast the other day, but like I don't think I'm overreacting just to these few games with Harden, because it's also what he's been this whole year, stepping up without Ben. He just looks so good, and he's so confident, and like he just doesn't give a shit. And it's so cool to see a guy improve at this rate, his second year, and be unafraid. Like that Cleveland game where he was taking these off the dribble threes
from deep
and dunking super deep, dunking on the fast break, and then immediately pumping his hand to the crowd and Harden gesturing to the crowd. It's just so cool. The fact that they were able to trade for Harden, this just broke perfectly for Daryl. To be able to make this trade, keep Matisse as well, and to be able to do all of this and keep a guy like Maxey, who's as young as he is and improving at the rate he is. Joel clearly adores him, and Harden does too. And there's that quote from, I think it was the Knicks game or the Cleveland game, where Maxey hadn't done much at halftime.
The Knicks game.
And Maxey was asked, this is from Kyle Neubeck, what the key to his second half outburst was. Among other pieces of advice and encouragement, James came up to me and asked if I was going to play today. And I love, people have remarked, not that everything has to go back to Simmons, but people have remarked about the way that Simmons would take that sort of comment. And there are guys like Maxey who love that sort of encouragement and that sort of comment. and he's just great. He's everything that he's like a Jimmy Rollins type of guy that you want to root for, both like in his quotes and in his expressiveness and in his play. So he's great. Are you like over the moon with the Maxey experience?
Yeah, I love him. I love that in the number of like interviews and podcasts and whatnot, I've listened with him, and he always says like every day I try to get 1% better. And I just think he has an incredible like work ethic, like all the people, like players, like front office, like staff are like, we have to kick him out of the gym, like tell him to go home, and like he doesn't have to come in the next day, like you need a break. Like he is like one of those guys that just wants to keep working and get better. And it shows, and it's paying off for him. And that makes me so happy for him. Also, like, I'm not sure because I don't listen to a lot of national media, like outside of Philadelphia and Kendrick Perkins, are other people aware of what Maxey is doing? Like, is it getting any like play anywhere else?
Well, I mean, I know that like Zach Lowe is a guy who's very he gets very granular with stuff, so he's super into Maxey, but like I don't know about like talking head type people if they're really into it. But yeah, Kendrick Perkins is very in on the Maxey thing because I think he's a clutch guy, and so is Maxey. But I don't know.
Think Maxey is like 7th in like most improved player odds right now.
Yeah,
which is interesting. There's like some people ahead of him that I just don't think, like, that makes me think that the national like thing is not up on him. Like, I think that Maxey has made a bigger leap than like a Jarrett Allen this year, but Jarrett Allen has better odds than him. So it's just interesting. I just think it's kind of like a niche thing that we're very aware of here, but that kind of plays well because then when people, I mean, I know other teams will like scout him and like watch his film, but it's kind of fun when like opposing fan bases don't really know like what they're in for, and then you can just like watch this kid score 35 on them.
Crazy. It's so cool.
While he's so happy doing it. So happy.
I know he's so happy.
So
he's the best. Tobias continues to really have a tough time out there, especially with Harden. I don't know if this is going to get any better or any easier for him. I just think that what they need him to do in these lineups is just not something that's comfortable for him. And he's been in the league like a decade. So to ask him to just completely change the way that he plays, and he's trying, like he's shooting 5 threes in games more times than he's comfortable with. And I guess there's something commendable about that, but like, it's just not the way that he is going to be effective. And I don't know that there's really a way to make it all that much better. So, Dan mentioned it last week, like the shot diet that really is available for him with the starters, with Maxey, Embiid, and Harden, is the Niang diet. Like is catch it and shoot it the second you get it. And there are like really bad clips going around pretty much every time he's out there with those guys. So like, do you see any way that this, can improve and like, what's the, is there a way that, or do you think it just basically, meanwhile, they're winning, like they've won every game with Harden. And I do think that maybe what they can do is stagger it a little bit better with those 3 guys, or with those 4 guys. But to me, it just feels like they've just got to sort of grit their teeth and get through it. Probably find him a new home after this year, but they're all focused on trying to win a title right now. It's tough because he seems like a really tough fit with the current group.
Yeah. He had, I don't want to say he got a better game against Miami. I thought he didn't look as bad. He didn't like really score, but I don't know.
Without Harden, yeah.
Yeah, without Harden. So maybe that's the thing. But maybe Doc just needs to figure out that, like you said, the stagger more. And if he doesn't play into their long-term plans, like that's fine. But they should try and like make the most out of him while they have him. Like on there, I know Dan will disagree, but like I don't think he's like the worst player in the NBA. And I think there is some benefit to having him on your team. So Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's why I don't get paid millions of dollars to coach a basketball team and make these decisions. But I hope they figure it out, because I really am sad every time Tobias does something wrong and everyone in the stadium boos him, because I think he's a nice guy.
He's definitely a nice guy.
I feel bad when the nice guys get booed. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like,
because he's trying. He is trying. It's not his fault completely.
I mean, it's like he is trying, but then there are clips where he gets the ball with nobody near him to shoot threes, and he still dribbles into nothingness,
Yeah.
So, and sooner or later, I do think Harden and them are going to probably get in his ear even more than they probably are about doing that.
It's gotta be so hard though. Like, you've played basketball like so much for so long, and for so long of it, like that was your role to do that thing, and then all of a sudden your muscle memory, you have to be like, no, don't do that thing, just catch and shoot, and like your muscle memory does not tell you to do that.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like sometimes when you're that age and you've been in the league for a decade, you just can't change, and you're not going to change. You know what I mean?
Like, you are. Yeah,
exactly. So I'd love for him to become just a guy. And by the way, it's like, okay, Tobias, shoot 8 threes a game, and if you make 2 of them, it's still a win, because we need those threes to go up. But it's like, for a guy like him, he might not make 2 of them. Like, he might need the mid-range, like 6 of those mid-range shots to go up in order for him to get to 38% on his threes. But we don't have time for that shit. Like, we have too many good players on this team than to, like, for us to give him all the other stuff. So they just really don't. I don't think they have the available shots, to give him what he probably needs to get going. So I think that, he's not going to put up a fuss, I don't think. And, I just think that they're going to, it would be cool to see him like have a moment at some point, but these are the shots that are available, because the other 3 guys are just more important and better. So, they're not going to bench him, I don't think, even if Niang is better at the thing that they need in the starting lineup. Especially as long as they keep winning games, which I have no doubt they'll keep doing, because they're really, really good. But it's tough, because I don't really foresee the Tobias specific thing getting a lot better soon. All right, we're going to take an ad break. Up next, we're going to talk about the Sixers' new old backup center, the Sixers rotation, and the update with the Ben Simmons stuff. And anyway, we'll be right back. And that's about it. We'll be right back. We're back. All right. So this week, the Sixers, this all really happened within the span of 1 week. So DeAndre Jordan got waived by the Lakers. And Woj tweeted, the 76ers have been in the market for a backup center and will be aggressive in pursuit of DeAndre Jordan, either placing a waiver claim or working to sign him as a free agent should he clear waivers. He had a story on ESPN where he claimed that the Sixers were front runners to sign DeAndre Jordan, which is just such funny phrasing, because who else is in this race? If the Sixers are front runners, who are they keeping out of this race? He sucks, and he's super old, and hasn't been good in a long time. He's huge, though, and can presumably still dunk the basketball. Paul Millsap died years ago, but he still plays backup center.
Do you know how old DeAndre Jordan is?
Tell me.
Guess.
39?
33.
No.
Yes, he's only 33.
He's 33.
He's 2 years older than me.
I was going to say he's 10 years younger than us. Wow.
He said he's super old.
Okay.
He's like the same age as James Harden.
That's crazy. All right. Well, he's been playing old. And he hasn't old. He's been struggling. And he got waived by the Lakers. And basically it comes down to Doc does not seem like he's going to play B-ball Paul or Bassey, and he has to play somebody old, and
Those are the rules.
I can't watch Millsap anymore. I can't do it. He doesn't give you anything. He doesn't even have the height of a center. So for me, it's like, at least be a guy who could physically dunk a basketball. And Jordan can do that, hopefully. So I guess give it a shot. Where I'm at with it is that I think the Harden Sixers are really, really great. And if he's going to be in lineups with Harden, I'm confident enough that he will not single-handedly ruin them to the extent that we need to like lose our minds about this. I'm sure that he's bad, but I don't think he's going to ruin our lives. And that's about as far as I'll go. Emily, how do you feel about DeAndre Jordan, newest Sixer?
Yeah. That sounds good to me. Not ruining my life. I've had enough life ruining from basketball players this year. I'm not interested in any more of that. And Paul Millsap is getting dangerously close. So is Furkan, who's someone I think we're going to talk about. So yeah, if he could not ruin my life and not be like a giant liability on both ends of the court, would be cool. I still would love for Bassey or B-Ball Paul to get some run. Also, I think we didn't give Willie Cauley-Stein enough of a chance. We put him in for like some garbage time. Like, what's the point if you're not even gonna like see what he has? Yeah. It just seems like that DeAndre Jordan and Doc have like some type of back deal that was made on the golf course. Like, hey, I'll get you back to come hang out with me so we can like smoke cigars and play golf on the weekends. Like, I'll get you in the same city, and like made it happen. But whatever. Like I said, if he doesn't ruin my life, like I'm not that concerned about who the backup center is. So whatever.
A bit mysterious, suspicious that, what was it, the day after we uncover that Willie Cauley-Stein is half Jewish, he gets unceremoniously cut by the Sixers. Not sure if Sixers want to release a statement. I'm not saying anything. A lot of people are talking about this on the internet. We put out a clip that sort of went viral after my one retweet and no likes really came flying in. Anyway, the rotation, Doc is looking for 2 bench wings here. And he said 2 of these 4 guys need to play consistent basketball off the bench. Danny has to be like, wait, am I not like a solid guy? Like, what's going on here? Nope. Danny Green, Furkan Korkmaz, who has not played well in so long. It's bad. Unbelievable. Shake, who has been playing very well for a little while now, and Isaiah Joe, who never gets on the court, doesn't play. So I don't know how he's going to impress Doc without playing any basketball. But hey, hey, Isaiah, find a way.
Really seems like Danny and Shake's to lose, but we'll see.
Those are the guys that are playing. Now, Furkan is still getting on the court, but he can't make a shot.
Starving sometimes.
Isaiah Joe certainly seems behind the 8 ball here since he's not allowed to play basketball, but stranger things have happened. So yeah, if you had to guess here, Emily, who would you guess are the 2 guys out of that 4 who make the playoff rotation?
Yeah, I would. As of right now, I would guess that it's Danny and Shake. Shake's been playing really, really well. But then it's just like so weird because Doc just is like, oh, I'm going to start Furkan yesterday. Like, why?
I don't know.
Was he trying to like boost his confidence? That can be my only guess because like he's played like trash recently. So like, what is he giving you? I don't know, but it's a nice guy, you know.
I mean, the thing about Furkan is supposed to be that he is an unconscious shooter who will just shoot it constantly no matter what, which is what Harden wants, which is important to Harden. But he's not making anything. And he gives you basically nothing else because they don't really need the ball handling anymore. So yeah, I think that Shake, especially if Shake's shot is going in, Shake has played well as a secondary creator lately. But yeah, I would love to see Isaiah Joe get some run here. And if Doc is bringing him up here. Now, of course, by the way, they signed DeAndre Jordan and Doc says he's not the incumbent. You know, he's one of the backup centers that we have now. It's like, okay, he's the backup center.
Speaking of Isaiah Joe, he had the best outfit, like in-game outfit on at the Knicks game. Like they do like the drip cam or whatever, and they show the players walking in. Isaiah Joe's outfit was so good. And every time they showed it, I was like, damn, he looks good. Did
Sixers social media post him on Instagram?
I don't know. Probably. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay.
This is great radio. I'll show it to the camera if I find it.
All right. Well, hang on. Drew's gonna let's have Drew look at that. Emily, I need 100% of you right here because we're gonna bring this podcast home. All right.
We're gonna do it.
The final note of business before we get to our predictions here is Ben Simmons, who suffered a little setback with his back injury, according to Ramona Shelburne. Earlier in the week, Woj said that Simmons playing in Philly on March 10th, which is coming up on Thursday. It's not happening. Simmons will not officially not be playing in that game against the Sixers. Shocking news for many of us here who really were expecting. Now, I wonder if retroactively they're going to put those prices back down. I'm not sure. Now, today, Steve Nash said that Simmons wasn't with the Nets today in Boston, but he will join them on this road trip, which ends in Philly. Do you think that Ben Simmons is going to go to the game in Philadelphia to sit on the bench?
Absolutely not.
That would be an insane thing to do.
That would be insane. He's like a sitting duck. He can't even like play on the court. He just has to sit there and listen to someone talking and yelling him the whole time. That's not good for your mental health. That's terrible for your mental health. Don't do that.
That would be that's like putting him in a dunk tank. That would be I would honestly, not even as someone who is a Sixers fan, I would think like for Steve Nash, that would be a fucking shitty thing for him to do to a human being. It would be shitty for him to put him on the bench among these rabid Philadelphia. That would be horrible. Do not do that. Like for him. We're hearing from Drew that the Sixers on this day when Emily said that Joe looked really great. The Sixers posted literally every Sixer but Isaiah Joe.
No, everyone but Shake. They did post Isaiah Joe, guys.
Isaiah Joe is the guy we're trying to see.
Yeah, he looks great.
There's the video.
Look at that outfit. Look at that outfit.
He does.
No sunglasses. He looks good.
Thanks for tuning in, Drew. He goes,
I think we need 100% from Drew in this podcast.
Anyway, they cannot put Simmons on the bench in Philadelphia. No. That would be a horrific thing to do to him and pointless. What's he there to do? Cheater? Absolutely not. Don't do that to him.
He doesn't do that.
That would be a terrible situation for everybody. All right. Yeah. And I guess we're both unsurprised that he's not playing in that game. But also the Nets need wins. We've talked about this. Like the Nets just lost to Boston. They're trying to stay out of the 9-10 seeds in the play-in. They had Kyrie and KD today and they still lost to a very good Boston team. So they need as many wins as possible. So
with Nick Stauskas, by the way. Cheers to
Nick Stauskas.
Cheers to
Stauskas. In 2 games. Yeah.
And a 2-year deal, not like a 10-day thing.
No,
like they're just signing him.
Good thing we have 6 backup centers on the team. It's great.
We couldn't use a shooter. We don't need those.
Couldn't use a shooter. We have one guy who's in the thick of a race who can't get off the court, off the bench. All right, predictions for next week. Oh, give me a standings update here, Emily. I nailed the predictions.
You did.
I'll tell you that.
You did. So me and Dan both thought the Sixers would never lose again. So we both went 2-1. So and then Steve nailed it. So we went 3-0. So Steve's in the lead at 40-24, then me at 39-25, and then Dan at 36-28.
All right. So I have retaken the lead. This week, the Sixers play home against Chicago and Brooklyn. Chicago, the Sixers have beaten 3 times this year. Chicago's having a very good year. Brooklyn, I believe we've split with them so far. That's a big game, of course. James Harden against Brooklyn. Kyrie should be legally allowed to play in that game. But no Ben Simmons. Could be in the stands. And then they play at Orlando, which is the front half of a back-to-back, which we've talked about as a potential rest Joel day, but who knows. Dan has texted in his predictions. He said 3 wins. The only question for me is whether or not they win that shitty Orlando game. And it's like, do we get only DeAndre Jordan and Paul Millsap center minutes? 3 wins.
That would be rude.
That would be rude. I say 3 wins.
I don't want to see any more Paul Millsap center minutes. I don't want to see him ever again.
I know it's rough. I know. I go 3 wins. Emily, what say you?
So I'm actually debating the Chicago game. I know it's at home, but I feel like Chicago is good, and I feel like it's hard to beat a team 4 times.
True. It's true.
But
Oh, and by the way, Nikola Vucevic questionable for this game, if that does anything for you.
Well, it doesn't really do anything for me because no matter what, I only pick the Sixers to win. So I'm picking 3 wins.
Great.
I kind of thought about it, but like, who am I kidding? I haven't picked the Sixers.
I believe it's a 36-game win streak for your predictions, something like that.
No, I actually picked them to lose the last Chicago game, and they won it. So it screwed me over. But
here we are.
Oh my God. Before that, let's see. I did pick 1 loss, and then before that. So not counting, if I had picked that loss to be a win, you know what I'm saying? It would be a 31 win streak. I haven't picked them. I picked them to lose once in 31 games.
This is rough.
It's working well for me. I'm only 1 game back, so leave me alone.
Well, the team's very good. So your record could just be their record if you pick every game as a win. Right.
I mean, it's not the worst idea.
Not a bad idea. All right, this is it. We did it. Thank you for listening to the show, and wherever you are, I hope you are safe and sound. Thank you for listening. Follow the podcast, Gastro Blues Pod. Watch us on YouTube, the Gastro Blues Pod, Sixers podcast. DA Peltz 13, Third and Girl, Steve J. Lippman. And that's all. Good luck in your exam, Dan, who we miss. And that's about it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Go Sixers. Good luck this week, DeAndre Jordan. And get out there, Isaiah Joe. Earn yourself some minutes. And thanks for listening. We'll be back with you next week. And we love you. That's it. Be safe and be great, and goodbye.